so unwieldy because it only can last 35 days. And again, I think I do sympathize with some of the Republican objections a couple of sessions ago when we did minimum wage, clean fuels, in the short session. Those are major policy areas. And it all kind of hinged on how do you define an emergency? And we defined an emergency as the prospect of ballot measures that were going to pass, that were polling very well, that would have been, a cudgel where we needed a scalpel in the case of the minimum wage, in the case of both. And so we felt it was incumbent on the legislature to provide an alternative that would be more thoroughly discussed, that wouldn't be just one advocacy group's version of what should be done. The Republicans didn't see it that way. They saw that as doing major changes. And so I think you're always going to have that tension, what is an emergency, what is urgent, what is not. But what we all agree on is there are routine budget issues and tax issues. For example, the Revenue Committee, the Finance and Revenue Committee that I chaired for 7 years, every short session we would make decisions on whether to connect or not connect to the federal tax changes that went into effect at the end of the year. Had we not been in short session, we would have had to delay that discussion to the regular session, and people who were affected, taxpayers, would have to amend their taxes. And so just from a boring, perspective like that, boring but useful, these sessions are really important. And then where the rub comes is what other issues should be on the table. And we're still working that out.
On the tax connection thing, just to wake everyone up who might be sort of, ready for lunch.
I know, I'm used to it.
Low blood sugar, but, so these opportunity zones, that could have been something dealt with during the long session last year. We copied all of Trump's tax cut in our democratically controlled state. Do you think that's going to pass this session disconnecting from that? Of course, not all Democrats want to completely disconnect from it. Some want to keep this capital gains free.
Yeah, I know that's going to be a top priority for some of the tax advocacy groups, and I personally think it's really not good policy for Oregon. However, I really can't give you a read of the outlook on this. I have not discussed it with Senator Cass.
Senator